DJ Urban T. Benjamin. My brothers. This ain't pain talk. This is clarity.
They told us be strong, but don't act like a man. Be sensitive, but never take a fucking stand. Be providers, but ashamed of the grind. Confused ass culture, now we losing our spine. I watch men drown with their mouths full of facts. Quote every theory, but don't move when it's time to act. Scrolling for truth like it's stuck in the feed, but red pill reality don't come cheap. I ain't mad at women, I'm mad at the lie. They told you red pill meant bitching online. Red pill wasn't rage, it was look in the mirror. Now see enemies instead of getting clearer. They say wake up, but stay sleeping they habits. Blame the whole world, never audit they balance. You broke cause you lazy, not cursed. Red pill truth hit hard, yeah this shit might hurt.
Hell, red pill, but don't choke on the truth. If you woke while you still in the same fucking loop, say you free, but you chained to the pain. Red pill, see clear, still walk in the rain. Red pill, but live that shit out. Awake ain't a bad, just a long way out. If you see what's real, then stand on your feet. Brotherhood calling, don't lie to me.
Misogyny ain't strength, it's fear in disguise. Red pill twisted when you stop thinking precise. Turn patterns into laws, turn hurt into hate. Then wonder why life still slamming the gate. Alpha beta talk got you sounding real small. Red pill discipline silent, don't posture at all. A man who see clear, don't need a villain. He building his shit while you scrolling and bitching. Red pill ain't the uniform, it's the work. But most one language without the dirt. Truth don't trend, don't clap, don't cheer. Red pill pressure make cowards disappear. I ain't saying the world fed, it's never the case. But red pill don't excuse you from running the race. Life don't owe you shit, but it answer the work. So either level up or stay mad and hurt.
Red pill, but don't poison your soul. Truth ain't hate, it's control. Say you woke, but you live in the sleep. Red pill talk, same shit every week. Red pill, but stand like a man. Awareness demand more than a plan. If you see what's real, then bleed for the truth. Brotherhood watching, what you gon' do?
Red pill ain't loud. It don't argue in comments. It don't recruit the bitter. Red pill get quiet and start demanding receipts. I ain't above this shit, I'm in it too. Same red pill standard apply to you and me, fool. If I say build, I gotta build mine. If I say lead, I gotta bleed time. Gentlemen, my brothers. Red pill ain't something you say, it's something you live. I'm holding myself to it too.
Welcome to the lounge, where we challenge accountability. I'm Urban, and we don't do surface talk here. We use emotional intelligence. Thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion. No filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking. Every beat a question, every bar a lesson. I turn the mic to a mirror, life's a session. Urban in the mix, soul and intellect blend. We ain't just talk truth, we set trends from Dallas to the world. We break that ceiling, no clout, just facts, that's the real feeling. Thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion. No filters, no faking. This here, thought-provoking. Trap drums drop, but the message don't fade. Every thought sparks like a hand grenade. Faith, pain, love, and drive all collide, that's how minds revive. All collide, that's how minds revive. Thought-provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought provoking. Mind open wide like a city skyline. Every topic shaped by design. The urban lounge where ideas ignite. Late night thoughts under podcast lights. Every episode of thought design. The urban lounge where iron sharp iron. We build from the ground like truth rewiring. Can't fake what's felt when the mic's ignited. If you listening now, you already invited. Thought provoking, mind in motion, truth be stirring, deep emotion, no filters, no faking. This here, thought provoking.
Warning, the following image and or content may be disturbing, offensive to some viewers. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Real quick community guidelines before we start the show. Now I want y'all to know that this is a space for respectable, thought-provoking conversations. We encourage intelligent discussions, different viewpoints, and respectable debates. Disagree if you want, but do it with substance and respect. Self-promotion is not allowed. This is not your billboard. Links, spam, and promotions in the comments or in live chat will be blocked immediately. Distasteful trolling, insults, or bad faith behavior will not be entertained. You will be blocked and banned. No warnings, no back and forth. Finally, y'all will notice that the subscriber mode is on. It is only for 5 minutes, y'all. 5 minutes. That way we can protect the integrity of the show and also protect the integrity of people who actually want to comment in the comment section faithfully, all right? We're here to think, challenge ideas, and grow, and not derail the conversation. If you're here in good faith, then I welcome you. Y'all enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, salute, welcome to the lounge. I'm your host, Urban. Man, oh man. My moderator, Lionel, he got it correct. My moderator, Lionel, aka Shuckverse, he got it correct tonight, y'all. The fire has been set. For real. This episode is gonna be a episode where we got to do a lot of accountability, y'all. We got to do a lot of accountability on this episode because, can't believe it. I am just shocked and appalled, for real. I'm shocked and appalled with my brothers, for real. I really am. I just can't believe it. I can't even believe that we even going to have a conversation talking about this. I can't believe it because normally in these situations, it's pretty cut and dry, you know, it's self-exclamatory, but we got to talk about it tonight, y'all. Crazy where we live in. You could tell that we're living in crazy times, man, where it appears that a lot of us are lacking moral compasses, for real. We really are. It's a sad thing, but at the same time, it could be a rectifiable thing as well, too. That's a little correction. See, what I believe is this. I believe that a lot of my brothers, they're not used to having a man who actually care about their well-being. They're not used to a man who has been through the fire, right? They're not used to a man who will literally disagree. They're not used to a man who will correct them. The last man that I known to do this respectfully in this space was Kevin Samuels, to be honest with you. To be honest. So since Kevin Samuels passed away and we We don't have a lot of that in this space right now. We don't have a lot of men who are bold enough to correct each other to sharpen earn. But guess what? If you're in the lounge, I'm that man that's going to do it. Let me make something real clear with y'all, okay? And I'm gonna make this abundantly clear. All right. Over here at the lounge, right? We engage in thought-provoking conversations all the time. All the time. No problem. With that being said, I do my very best to make sure that this space over here isn't a echo chamber. Okay. A matter of fact, I make sure that myself personally is not an echo chamber. Meaning this, if it be something that someone say or someone say right, guess what? I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and agree with this because it sounds good. I'm going to let you know if I agree with it or not. I'm either going to agree with it or I'm going to disagree with it. Respectfully, of course. And that's how the way I am. I never been that type of person who likes to, you know what I'm saying, jump on the bandwagon, especially when I know it don't sound right. Especially when I know it sounds weird, especially when I know it sounds wrong. And I could be the only person who disagreed and I could exist in an island by myself. And I'm totally fine with that. That is how the way I am. With that being said, my brothers and sisters that are watching this well too, we got a lot of work we're going to do tonight. We got a lot to discuss tonight on this topic. Just like I told y'all earlier, I'm disappointed in my brothers. I really am. This is crazy. This is some weird behavior for real. Now, I thought when I covered this months ago dealing with red pill rage, right? I thought that I made this abundantly clear about what red pill rage is, and I broke it down to the core about how you could be a part of this red pill rage, right? Not only I broke it down, gave you the definition of it, but also I held us accountable and gave you solutions how you could exit out of this red pill rage. Unfortunately, many of my brothers right now, they have not got that memo yet because many of my brothers right now are still in this red pill rage. And many of my brothers honestly believe that when they come over here to the lounge that even though I allow them to express their red pill rage, they believe that this whole entire content, this whole entire house is a woman bashing channel when it's not. It is not. It is not at all. The Urban Lounge Podcast is not no woman bashing channel. The Urban Lounge Podcast is not no misandry channel. The Urban Lounge Podcast sure as hell is not an echo chamber at all, period. Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. We are much more greater than that over here, to be honest. So, there are many of my brothers, they honestly believe just because I post a certain shorts I post out or community posts I post out, they believe that, hey, we could come over here and we could just express our grievances and everybody's going to be on our side with it every time. Nope. Not all the time. Not all the time. Because once again, brothers, we're not here to tear down women. We're here to learn. We're here to, first of all, learn from the errors of our ways of being men. We also need to learn about women as well, too. So we can at least learn about their behavior and be able to coexist together. That's the whole point of the lounge. When I use red pill philosophy, right, I don't use red pill philosophy to disencourage. I don't use red pill philosophy to tear women down or anything like that. I use red pill philosophy to empower my fellow brothers so they can understand the whole anatomy and behavior of women, so they know how to navigate as close to perfection as possible when dealing with women. Okay? So you won't enter into this red pill rage. That's what it's all about. But unfortunately, my brothers, they're still caught up in this for real. And that's why I'm telling y'all tonight that we got a lot of work to do. We do. And what's even more interesting about this, right? Those of you who are my day ones, like Showverse, right? My moderator, I warned y'all. I literally warned y'all, did it? I warned y'all in the beginning. Remember earlier through the year when I warned y'all that, hey, the content of this channel is step by step by step, and we're gradually building and building and building and building. Y'all thought I was playing about that bullshit? I wasn't playing about that, because there are topics that we're going to be discussing. I'll tease them in the community posts. I'll tease them in my shorts, but we'll talk about it here on the live show. And there are topics that we're going to be talking about that we need to deal with, and we need to hold each other accountable about our thought process behind this, for real. Tonight's topic is no exception. But once again, I warned y'all, I told y'all that we're going to be building over here. That's why I started off by the basic stuff, by building my fellow brothers up, teaching them about leadership, teaching them about red pill rage, teaching them about different other stuff too, to empower them as men. But we're here now, and I'm telling you, it's not gonna. If you, I put it to you this way, and I address the comments in a minute, but I put it to y'all this way: if you're having a hard time dealing with what we're going to talk about tonight, and that triggers you, and that's your boiling point, I'm just saying, the other stuff we're going to talk about in the future is going to be way worse than this. Way worse. And what's fascinating about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that I hear it time and time again where people say, we need to build like community. We need to build like community. We need to build like community. We need to lift each other up. We need to build each other up. Fine. Let's do it. But in order for that to happen, we got to deal with the in-house stuff first. And the in-house stuff is dealing with our personal behavior, where we need to hold each other accountable. And I'm way more harder on my brothers than these women, because we are charged by divine duty to be protectors, providers, leaders, and all this stuff, right? So I hold y'all to a way higher responsibility. So if you can't get past this part, and to be honest with y'all, this part here is still basic training. This is basic training. This is easy work. And if you can't get past this, what we're going to talk about tonight, then I don't know, brothers. I don't know. But we're gonna get into it tonight, y'all, because we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to uncover tonight. Shout out everybody who's in the bidder right now. Shout out to everyone who's going to be joining us later on tonight, which I'm pretty sure is going to happen. Shout out to everybody who's going to be joining us later on tonight, and shout out to everybody who's catching the replay as well too. We got a very strong topic that we're going to talk about tonight, y'all. Got a strong topic we're going to talk about tonight. Those of y'all who didn't catch the title of the stream is simply this: the 99.9998%. Is it a lie? Who's really unaliving black women? Once again, the 99.9998%, is that a lie? And who's really unaliving black women? We're gonna dive deep into this, okay? But once again, let me go ahead and address everybody who's here right now. And Blue Jay, I see you in the comment section. Salute, welcome to you, Lionel. Salute to you as always. Salute to everybody who's in the bit of watching for the bushes. Cortez, what's up with it, brother? Welcome back. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you like I always come to the lounge, man. Appreciate you. So we finna get into it, man. We got a lot. We got a lot to talk about. Man, Lord, we got a lot to talk about tonight. And I'm gonna do my very best to take my time with this tonight. And I don't care how long this is gonna take tonight for me to get this information out to you. Okay. So I'm not gonna rush it or anything like that, because I believe that this information that I'm going to put out for you, I believe it's important, it's very viable, and also I'm going to be sharing you the information that I get as well too, so you could go back and look it up for yourself. All right. So we got a lot of work, y'all. Lord, we got a lot of work tonight. Let me see. I think Blue Jay asked me a question. Oh, she was asking were we red pill. Yeah, we're technically red pill. Technically. But yeah, we are. But all right, so let's go ahead and get into this. I think that before we get into the heart of the matter, I think that we need to have a starting point. Okay. Where did all this start? Where did we get this information from? Well, over here at the lounge, and I want to direct your attention to this, okay? I want y'all to pay attention to the center of the screen, if you don't mind. Now, this is where this officially started over here at the lounge, okay? I had put up a community post a day ago, right? I put up this community post, and I just wanted to pick people's brains and just to see where their mind was at dealing with this particular matter. And what inspired this community post is because me and my executive producer, we was researching, and we've been researching recently about all these unalivings that's been happening, preferably with Black women. One of the posts we put up was the incident, well, not incident, but the situation that happened in Louisiana, which that's a prior post before I put this one up on the community wall. And we was talking about that. And so we decided that we was going to go ahead and put this particular post up as well too, just to engage and see where people mindset is at. Now, on the post prior, right, when it was talking about the dude at Louisiana that killed that unalived them 8 kids, right, and everybody else, I didn't get a whole lot of comments on that post, but however, the comments was pretty much universal. What people were saying, like, yeah, that's a mental disorder with this dude, this Black dude or whatever, right? And that was it. But when it came to this particular post, Now, this post, it says this: in 2026, Black women are being murdered in their homes, at work, on holiday, and on the road. By partners, by boyfriends, by husbands, by strangers. No space has been safe. These are their stories. And of course, we included clips of the different women who were affected by this. This young lady right here, who was murdered by a strange husband, who was gunned down at her own workplace before turning the gun on himself. This young lady right here, who's in Georgia. She was getting ready to graduate from college, and the man was charged with unaliving her. This young lady right here, which a lot of y'all probably have heard in this particular space with her. She was the first vice mayor in Florida. She was getting ready to go on her campaign run again. But guess what? For no reason at all, her husband unalived her. The only reason why he said that he unalived her is because he said he was simply tired. This next one is dealing with another young lady. She was unalived by her estranged husband, who shot her in the basement before unaliving himself. This one right here was unalived by her ex-boyfriend in D.C. She was battling kidney failure, and she was already fighting to stay alive. Miss Johnson was unalived by her partner in her own family home. And this one, who was shot execution style in a vacant apartment in Florida. And finally, this one is another familiar story where this young lady, she was in the car that she was in, it was ambush. And they shot up the car and she got unalived. What do all these stories have in common? Is these stories created what is known as propaganda against preferably black people? Is these stories not true? What do y'all think? I want y'all to also consider this too. When I was going back and reviewing the comment sections, right? The comment sections in this was so disappointing, y'all. It was very disappointing. And I want y'all to just look at this clearly if you could see it. I could sum it up for y'all. Some of the comment section range from men in particularly saying that these women deserve what happened to them. Then they also ranging from that, hey, Brother Medium Man did a whole video debunking this narrative, which we're going to talk about that later, about the 99.998%. That's what they're referencing. I even seen in the comment section where men was saying that they don't care. They did a Stephen A. Smith thing right here, talking about they don't care. I even seen one that said that, hey, these women deserved it. Whatever they did, it don't matter because they deserve it. There's another comment that says right here, I thought women had intuition. And here's the fun one. This one of the ones that people use all the time. They say that what about them? What about when they unalive unborn babies through abortion? So, as y'all can see, the consensus of this is not dealing with having sympathy or empathy for these type of crimes that happen to them. The overall consensus is that, oh, well, they deserved it. Oh, well, since they had pick and choose to unalive unborn babies, then therefore they deserve the things that came to them. Oh, well, since they decide to divest and go with a different race, they deserve it. But I want y'all to understand this clearly, that once again, we be propagating that we supposed to be for our communities, correct? We're supposed to be for our community. We're supposed to be community building. We're supposed to be edifying one another. But yet and still, we are celebrating. We're celebrating the demise. And I want y'all to understand this clearly too, that these are men who are doing this. Men, not bots, men. Now some of y'all could say, oh, there are bots in here. No, there are no bots in here. There are no bots in here. These are actual men who took the time and effort to comment on this post. These are men who think in this way. Now, once again, I'm not a blue pill channel or anything like that. I'm all about accountability and I'm all about truth as well too, regardless if you agree with it or not. But here's my thing, and we haven't even got into the main core of the show yet. Here's my thing. Here's my thing. If we are calling ourselves the head, right? If we're sitting up here demanding to women that they need to submit to us, right? Question, why in the hell would these modern women submit to bullshit like this? Why would they do it? What would be the reason behind this? Who would want to submit to something like this? Who would want to submit to a man who celebrate their fellow sisters being unalive for whatever the reason? You don't give a damn. Who does that? And here's another narrative that they put out here, and this is the main one, and they're gonna be the main talker points of the show tonight. The main one is this, and I find it fascinating too. The main one is saying, well, Urban, it ain't black man who's doing that. It's not black man who's doing that. That's other races and ethnicity that's doing that. Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Which I'm going to provide with you the data on all of this tonight. Because once again, I'm going to take my time. And we're going to go through this whole process because there has been a lot of misconceptions dealing with situations like this. And to be honest with you, there have been a lot of different content creators who've been putting out content and they've been misquoting these stats just so it could fit a narrative. Now, shout out to my boy Medium Man. You know, I respect Medium Man. I respect the work that he do over there. But let's call it for what it is. My boy Medium Man is biased in a lot of his stats, especially when it's dealing with black people. I'm just gonna keep it real. Just gonna keep it real. Now, once again, I respect him. I respect the work that he do over there. I really do. But we got to call a spade a spade. We got to call it for what it is. And all it takes for you to dig a little deep and do the actual research, and you'll find out the truth, which I'm going to show this to y'all tonight. I'm going to break it down to y'all, and I'm going to show you the actual stats of everything, including Medium Man stat that everybody want to quote. I'm going to show it to you, and we're going to break this thing down tonight. And the whole point of this is not to bash no one and make someone feel some type of way or anything like that. No. Over at the lounge, we hold each other accountable so we could come up with solutions so we can move forward. That's the whole point of it. It's not for me to say that I'm better than anyone or anything like that. It's for me to provide the evidence so you can pick and choose which one to do. Because once again, over here, we don't have an echo chamber over here. We don't. So you can most definitely disagree with me. That's fine. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to present to you the stats, the evidence, and everything. And you could choose what you want to do with that. That's fine. So if you want to learn the truth, if you just want to just hear my perspective on this, then you are in the right place at the right time. But for us, these brothers that are on here who saying all this egregious stuff, that's some bullshit. I don't subscribe to any of this, and I want y'all to understand this clearly. That when it comes to situations like this, where dudes be saying some egregious stuff in this comment section, just because I post it, that doesn't mean that I'm for it. Okay? Unless I have expressed that in the comment section saying that I'm for it. I want y'all to understand that. So even when I been posting these type of posts, right? I didn't heard it all. People just said that man, this dude must be for the feminist movement. This dude must be doing this. This dude must be doing that. All because I'm not posting things that you want to see. All because I'm not posting things where you could sit back and be entertained and all women are like this. Yeah, thank you, Robert. Yeah. We are balanced over here. If we're going to post some things about women and modern women and how the way they think, we also need to post things about how we are as men as well too, and hold ourselves accountable as well too. And that's what we do over here. Now, I'm going to be real with you. Just like I stated earlier, this is nothing. This is light work compared to what we're going to be dealing later on in the future. And if you can't deal with this, there, I think I need to unsubscribe from the channel because I'm going to be pissing y'all off for real. Y'all going to be looking at me different. Right now, y'all celebrate me. Oh, Brother Urban this. Unc Urban this, Unc Urban that. Y'all celebrate me right now. But when we start getting into the real stuff, some of y'all ain't gonna be celebrating me no more, for sure. Because people who know me, right, I don't choose sides or anything like that. I call it down the line for what it is. Regardless of who's watching or not, it is what it is. But like I said, we finna get into it, y'all. We first get ready to get into this main content. Let me go ahead and address the chats real quick. And we're finna dive deeper into this, man. Now, because I do want to see how the way y'all feel and think about this particular live. That's this in general. All right. So let me get into this real quick. And I see some comments right here. Let's go back. All right. So Cortez, he said that Urban, these type of articles are propaganda. And then Cortez followed up and said it's actually less common than it used to be. The media just overreported if the story has a black man. And then he's talking about the other story, which is her husband was a felon, which I knew that. Then Lionel, he says sin is propaganda when it's done social work for decades. When his wife does social work, athletes see this as ground level is disingenuous. And then Cortez said, no, I've been looking at stuff since high school. Black women already said they will use propaganda by pushing these stories. All right. And so pretty much they're going back and forth and talking about the conversation. All right. So Cortez, I understand where you're coming from. I understand that when you look at stories, right, especially on social media, I understand that it could create certain type of narratives. I get that. Like, for example, the story out there talking about men being deadbeat dads or a man being absent parents, right? And you see all these overwhelming articles that allegedly support this ideology that men are truly are deadbeat fathers. Or if they try to normalize it to a certain race, they'll probably say that black men are the most who are deadbeat fathers. So I can understand where you're coming from when it's dealing with the propaganda part. I can understand that. But let me kind of challenge you on this, okay? Would the same would be true if I were to post stories about women? Okay. Post stories about women. Post stories about, let's say, hypothetically, I post stories talking about women unaliving children. Women, preferably black women, are leading in abortion rates. Would that still be considered as propaganda? Black women are known to get high degrees, but they remain unmarried. Is that considered as propaganda as well too? Or do the propaganda only deals with when it's talking about men? So help me to understand that. If the stories is on the other end of the shoe where it's talking about women, talk about modern women doing this, black women doing this and doing that, right? Is that still considered as propaganda? Or would you label that as truth, or as preferably your truth? Let me know what you think. All right, the difference is women are actually doing these things at a higher rate. Interesting. Okay. Then you follow up and saying, now, I see what you're saying. It's not only that, brother. It's not only that I want you to see what I'm saying. I want you to understand clearly what I'm saying as well, too. And I want everybody to understand clearly what I'm saying and what we're doing tonight. If we're going to continue with this path of saying that it's propaganda, it's a narrative, right? It would be fair. Once again, it would be fair for us to consider this across the board. If it's fair that it's propaganda dealing with men or black men, it have to be propaganda dealing with black women as well too. It have to be. Because if it's not, if you're saying that it's one but not the other, then guess what that is? That is being disingenuous. So my challenge to not only you, brother, but everyone who's watching right now who have this same ideology with this first point that you're making right now, this first argument. Which one is it? Is it propaganda for one? Or is it across the board propaganda for all? Y'all let me know. But we can get into this main heart of this, all right? We can get into the main heart of this because, like I say, we got a lot to cover tonight, y'all. And just like I say, I'm gonna break this thing down for y'all so y'all can understand clearly my stance on this, all right? I want y'all to understand that we're dealing with something serious, okay? We're dealing with real lives and not just internet debates, okay? Now, we'd have seen the posts, we'd have seen the names, the faces, the stories, just like I showed y'all, and right behind them, the narratives as well, too. We also have heard that it's this group, it's that group, it's rare, they deserve it, all kind of stuff, right? But once again, I want y'all to understand is that we're not doing the narratives tonight. What we're doing tonight over here at the lounge is that we are doing patterns. We're going to analyze patterns. We're going to give you data. And most of all, we're going to be holding each other accountable because that is the only way we can move forward. If we lack accountability, then there's no way in the hell we're going to be able to move forward, regardless of what race or ethnicity that you are a part of. And that's the bottom line. Now, look, check this out. If you misunderstand the patterns, right, ultimately what's going to happen is that this outcome is going to keep repeating itself over and over and over again. And it's my job to do my very best to prevent that from happening. Now, look, before we argue anything, I want y'all to look at what's actually happening in these cases that I was sharing with you. Now, I want y'all to check this pattern out. And there's a reason why I was showing y'all these articles, right? I want y'all to check this pattern out. The main pattern that I want y'all to consider is this, is that first of all, is harm by current or former partners. That's across the board with every article that I showed you. Several victims was pregnant. Many of them had children. Many of the assailants had prior assaults or threats or even was narcissistic and controlling. And then also, I want y'all to consider that these incidents happen either during separation, some type of conflict, or some type of transitioning. And I want y'all to understand that these are not random events, but these are patterns based on outcomes inside of these relationships. Now let's get into the data for tonight, all right? The first data I want y'all to consider, right? We're going to want to look at data with the CDC, all right? We're going to look at data with the CDC. We're going to look at the intimate partner homicide, all right? And this is one of the data's part or one of the data that Media Man has shared, all right? So let's look at this. And also what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to do y'all one better. I'm going to also share these findings with you so you can go investigate it yourself. Everything that I'm putting on here, y'all could go and search it for yourself. So I'm not just going to quote stats and show you stuff, right? I'm going to literally give you the link where you could go and view all these stats on your own time. Because that's what we do over here. Now, before I bring the article up to you, I want to give you the key findings of this, okay? Now, the key findings is this. 3,991 women were killed by intimate partners, and that's between 2018 to 2021. 98.5% of the suspects were male. 68% were in the home. And finally, 66.6% involved firearms. Let's get to the article. Let me show you the article tonight. All right. All right. Now, here's the article that I want y'all to consider. Once again, this is from the CDC. This is dealing with the intimate partner homicide among Williams, and this data is from 2018 to 2021. Now, what I want y'all to focus in on is this, but you can read this whole thing for yourself, all right? Now, on this part where it said what is added by this report, it says the overall rate of intimate partner homicides among women remained stable from 2018 to 2019 to 2020-21. However, during 2020-21, the proportion of victims who were non-Hispanic, Black, or African American women increased, and suspects were more frequently previously known to law enforcement. Now, I want to kind of scroll down on this because, once again, I want y'all to pay attention to this certain data over here. Now, when you get over here to where it say the overall intimate partner homicide characteristics, now, consider this. During 2018 to 2021, a total of 3,991 females or intimate partners homicide were reported in the NVDRS table. Now, the median victim was between 38 years old. 49.3% were non-Hispanic white. 29% were non-Hispanic Black or African Americans. We got 14.8 who were Hispanic or Latino, and we got the regular 6% composite of all races and ethnicity. Now, these incidents most often occur at the victim's residence, 68%, and involve a male suspect, and that is 98.5%. A single victim, which is 64.4%, and a firearm, which is 66.6%. Now, additionally, 20.3% of the suspects were known to have a previous history of abusing the victim. 15.8% had suspected alcohol or substance abuse near the time of the incident. 14.7% had previous contact with law enforcement during a 12-month period preceding to the homicide, and 6% were known to have mental illness that directly contribute to the homicide. Now, why is this important tonight? Why is this particular data important? The reason why this particular data is important is because I want to instantiate this clearly. I want y'all to understand that these unalivings that happen with these women occurred more likely at their place of residence, and also it occurred by someone that they knew. Now, I want y'all to keep that in mind. Someone they knew, or someone she knew, because it's going to make sense when I break this thing even further down. Let's consider this other data as well too. More data from the CDC, and I'll put this in the chat as well too, so y'all can want to check it out. All right. Is that right, Ron? Yeah, that's correct. All right, so let's consider this next data. Now, just to give you an overview of this particular data, this data is dealing with intimate partner violence, which is IPV. Okay. Now, just to give you an overview, this is the findings is talking about less than 50% of female homicide victims was killed by a current or former partner. And I want y'all to keep that in your mind. I want y'all to keep that in mind. Now let's deal with this. Now the key points is this: intimate partner violence is a significant public health issue. Intimate partner violence has profound impact on lifelong health opportunity and well-being, and promoting healthy relationship in communities can help reduce intimate partner violence. Now, once again, I'm going to kind of scroll through this because there's a key part that I want y'all to consider, but you could go back and read this whole entire article on your own time, okay? By all means, do it. Now, I'm going to scroll down because I want y'all to see, I believe, this outcome part, all right? Is it right here? No, let's go up one. Quick facts and stats. All right, so IPV is coming. It affects millions of people in the United States each year. More than 1 in 3 women and more than 1 in 6 men experience contact sexual violence, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner during their lifetime. Among women, 1 in 5 experience contact sexual violence. Nearly 1 in 4 experience physical violence. 1 was stalked. And then for the men, it's like 1 in 23 experience contact sexual violence. About 1 in 7 experience physical violence. And almost 1 in 24 were stalked. Now, in their lifetimes, 1 in 3 women and about 1 in 8 men experience contact sexual violence, physical violence, and stalking, and at least one related impact. Some impact include physical injury, missing work or school, safety concerns, medical care needs, and filing a police report. Now, the IVP starts early and it continues throughout people's lives. When IVP occurs in adolescence, it is called teen dating violence. About 16 million women and 11 million men say that they were first experienced intimate partner violence before the age of 18. Now, some individuals and communities experience differences in risk for violence due to the conditions of which they live, work, and play. Now, I'll repeat that again. Some individuals and communities experience differences in risk for violence due to the conditions which they live, work, and play. Youth from particular demographic groups are at greater risk of experiencing sexual and physical dating violence. Now, why is this also important, ladies and gentlemen? The reason why this is important is because it is building up my claim for y'all tonight. It's building up the claim that, first of all, I remember seeing somebody in my chat say this, right? In the community post, I showed it to you earlier. I remember seeing one person say that, Urban, this is a rare event. It rarely happens. Especially with black men doing this to black women. I'm going to call bullshit on that.
That's bullshit.
I'm going to call bullshit on it. Now, I will say this. I will say that this can most definitely be the minority, but not the majority. I can meet with you and I can agree with you on that. Once again, I can meet with you and say that this is the minority and not the majority. I can meet and agree with you on that. A matter of fact, let me give you this data real quick. Because I told you I got data tonight for y'all. Because once again, I'm sharing this with y'all because I want y'all to look this up for yourself for real. Because like I say, a lot of other content creators, they're not gonna do this. They probably share it on the screen, but they're not giving you the data at our period. But we giving you the data, so you could look it up for yourself and you can make your conclusions on your findings. All right, but I didn't do the work for you. Okay, I didn't do the work for you. Now, this is a article, peer-reviewed article from the National Library of Medicine. Okay. Now, this article is dealing with this. This article is basically surveillance violent deaths. Okay. It's surveillance violent deaths that happen through all the 50 states in the United States, including DC and including Puerto Rico. And these findings came back in 2022. Okay. Now, this is what the abstract says, all right? Now, the abstract says as follows. In 2022, approximately 24,000 persons died of homicide and approximately 49,000 persons died of suicide in the United States, according to the National Vital Statistics System. This report summarized data from the CDC, National Violent Death Reporting System, on suicides, homicides, legal intervention death, unintentional firearm injury deaths, and deaths of undetermined intent that occurred in 50 states, including DC and Puerto Rico in 2022. The results of the reports are by sex, age, group, race, and ethnicity, method for injury, type or location where the injury occurred, circumstances of injury, and other selected characteristics. In contrast, the 2021 report, which collected data from a subset of states, includes suicide data for ages 10 and higher. 10 and higher. This report includes data from all 50 states, including DC and Puerto Rico, and includes suicide data for all ages. Okay. Now, let me bring this down. All right. So now the resource says this. For 2022, the NVDRS collected information on 72,127 fatal incidents involving 74,148 deaths that occurred in all 50 states. In addition, data were collected for 728 fatal incidents involving 809 deaths in Puerto Rico, which were analyzed separately. Of the 74,148 deaths that occurred in 50 states. The majority were suicide followed by homicides, which is at 30.2%. Deaths that undermine intent was at 7.1. Legal intervention deaths is at 1.4. All right. Now, skip that. We'll care about all that right now. Now, it was saying that these deaths was unintentional firearm injury deaths, and it said 809 deaths that occurred in Puerto Rico, 73.9 were homicides, and 23.3 were suicides. Now, scrolling on down, where we get right here, among both male and females, the most common method of injury for suicide was with firearm. Coming out suicide victims when circumstance was known 83.3. Suicide was most preceded by mental health or substance-related problems or treatment. Suicidal thoughts or plans or recent impending crisis or depressed mood. Now, y'all probably are wondering, Urban, why are you sharing us data about suicide? Why is that important? The reason why this is important is because of this. When we're dealing with women, right? When women are in a situation to where I call it gloom and doom, right? To where they cannot find no other alternative to get them out of the situation that they're in. Some of these women will resort to unaliving themselves. That's to end it all. Just so they can have satisfaction. Just so they can have peace. Just so they can have freedom from the person who is doing these heinous acts to them. They will rather unalive themselves than to continue with the physical, mental, financial, and spiritual abuse that these type of men do to them. That's why this is important. That's why I'm sharing this data with you. Now, it's true that it's rare at a population level, right? But I want y'all to understand that rare does not mean that it's random, okay? It does not mean that at all, period. A matter of fact, let's go ahead and deal with this claim for tonight, all right? Because this overall claim is the whole core of this conversation. Now, this claim that I'm talking about right now is the claim that the data that Media Man had put up, right? He had put up the data that 99.9998% of black men are not involved of unaliving black women. Let's deal with this tonight. But before we deal with that, those of y'all who are tuned in right now, make sure that you hit the thumbs up to support this channel. Tonight, we are dealing with this claim right now. Okay. We're dealing with the 99.9% claim. We're going to see if this 99.9% claim is true or not. We're dealing with what is the real data on who's unaliving, preferably black women. And so far, what I'm doing is that I'm sharing with y'all data. I'm posting data in the chat right now so you could go back and review it for yourself. Okay? Because once again, some of these content creators, they don't do this. So they probably show it on their screen or whatever and on site maybe a line or two and say that it's truth or facts or whatever, right? But they're not challenging you to go out and look at the data for yourself like I'm doing over here at the lounge, which that's what I want you to do. I want us to get out of this echo chamber mindset. Get out of this hive mind mindset where whenever you listen to any type of content creator right there, you think that whatever they say is automatically face value. I want to get y'all out of this mindset because I want y'all to get into the mindset of challenging it. Challenge what they say. Even with me. As you can see right now, I'm not just saying stuff just to be saying it. I'm backing up with findings that I took time out and research. And not only I took time out to research and study and understand where it's coming from, right? But I also am sharing the data with you as well too, where you could go out and view yourself. And guess what? Y'all want to know what's going to be the great part about this? The great part about this is that once when this live is over with, right? Some of y'all probably can't look at the data right now, and that's fine. But the great part of this is that once when the live is over with, right, I have my chat on replay, so you could go right back into it, and you're going to see the live chat, including everything that I have posted in there, so you could go right back and review the data for yourself. Who does that? What content creator does that? Me? Because I want y'all to learn. I do. Because once again, we over here to create thought-provoking conversations, okay? We over here to learn from one another. There may be some things that I say on here, it probably not 100 facts. And that's okay. Because it's up to you to go back and say, Urban, hey, I went and researched this, bro, and this is what I found out. And you show me the source. And I look at it, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm not going to have no pride. I'm not going to have no ego or anything like that. Oh, no, you can't tell me wrong because I'm the content creator. No. I'm not going to be like that. If you show me the data and you show me the source and say, hey, bro, you kind of wrong on this one. This is what I see. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to concede to it. I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. And that's how the way it's supposed to be, ladies and gentlemen. I'm saying. Rose, salute. Welcome to the lounge. So let's get into this claim right here, the 99.998% claim. All right. Now, I do want to admit this. When I researched this, right, I do want to admit that most men are not violent. That is true about this claim, that most men are not violent. That is absolutely true. No debating it. No debunking anything like that. Most men are not violent. But however, what Media Man got it wrong is this, and I discovered this. He used the total population only versus relationship context or high-risk groups. Once again, he doesn't use the overall total population and not tying it into the relationship context or high-risk groups. This particular claim that he did, right, what it did is that it hides, right? It hides violence as a concentrated in a small subset of repeated offenders. It ignores the relationship context. In most cases, these situations happen with intimate partners or known relationships. Now, the stats tell you what most people aren't doing, but the question is, it don't tell you who it is and why. And this brings us into my main talking point for tonight, where we dealing with black women and black men, because the biggest claim out there that people are saying right now is this. They're saying that black men doesn't do this. There's other races that do this. The white man does this. The Hispanic man does this. Hell, the Asian man does this, but not black men. We're not doing that because we are kings and queens. We all love each other over here. So how in the world will we do that when we love each other? I say that's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
And we prove that every single day over here at the lounge, where we're holding each other accountable for our choices and decisions that we make. Y'all prove it. That's the men over here in general proves that just by me posting stuff on my community posts and my shorts. Y'all prove that. Ha ha ha. These modern women, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm divesting from these modern women to get these damn modern women. Ha ha ha. Y'all be doing that. So let's clear it up, y'all. And I want to share this too. Here's another article I want to share with y'all. Y'all can check it out on your free time. But I'm gonna show it to you right now. This article, once again, is from the CDC. Since we love the CDC, so we're gonna stick with the CDC. So this from the CDC. This CDC article is this: is surveillance for violence death. The National Violent Death Reporting System for 48 states with DC and Puerto Rico is back in 2021. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this article, because I believe that part of this article is dealing with the abstract that Media Man had placed for his particular claim. Okay. Now, the abstract, it says this. In 2021, approximately 7,500 persons died of violent-related injuries in the United States. This report summarized data for the CDC National Violent Death Reporting System on violent deaths, right? Is this the right one? Let me show you this is the right one. Oh, yeah, this is the right one. I was about to say, like, damn. Thought I was reading the other one. The results are reported by sex, age group, ethnicity, method of injury, type of location where the injury occurs, substance of the injury, selected characteristics of the report, introduce additional incidents and circumstances variables, which now include child victim specific circumstance information. All right. This report also incorporates U.S. Census Bureau race and ethnicity categories, which account for more than one race, and Native Americans and Pacific Islanders category include updated denominators to calculate rates for these populations. All right. So when we scroll down, I believe is right here. Okay. Where it says right here, the demographic patterns and circumstances vary in the matter of death. Suicide rate was higher than males and females across all age groups. Is dealing with suicide as well too. This is not what I'm looking for. Where's that? I think it's still in the same article. Oh, here it is. Homicide more often was participated by argument or conflict occurring in conjunction with another crime or female victim was related to intimate partner violence, which is IPV. Nearly all victims of legal intervention death were male, and the legal intervention death rate was highest among men ages 30 to 34. The legal intervention death rate was higher among AI males, followed by black males. The firearm was used in the majority of the legal intervention death when circumstances were known. Most frequent circumstances report for a legal intervention death were as follows. The victim used a weapon in the incident, and the victim had a substance use problem. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is because of this. Media Man claim he said that 99.998 of black men are not involved in these type of homicides. That is not true. Because if that is true, he is only claiming that less than 1% are involved in this, which that's also not true. The truth is this. The true homicides happen in what is known as intra-racial relationships. Once again, the true homicides happen in intra-racial relationships. What does that mean? It's simply saying that these type of homicides happen within your own set race. So if it was a black man who unalived a black woman, she didn't get unalived by a white man. It happened within her own race, which is a black man. Same thing could be said about a white man unaliving a white woman. Same thing could be said about an Asian man unaliving an Asian woman. These things happen in they said race. So by him saying that only less than 1% is existing in all the races combined, including blacks, that's some bullshit.
That's bullshit.
That is a fallacy. Now, I know it sounds great when you look at it, right? I know it sounds great when you read it. It sounds wonderful. It sounds like, hell yeah, we're doing good as black people. But that is not the truth. Now, once again, I can agree and say that it's not the majority. It's not the majority. It's definitely the minority. And there's a certain type of behavior pattern that commits these heinous acts, which I'm going to discuss in a little bit. I would say this. I would say that if you try to group every race into one bucket who's dealing with these heinous type of acts, I would say that is at least up to about 20%. The bare minimum across every race. So within that 20%, we can honestly say that maybe 0.4, 0.5% are black men who are committing these heinous acts towards these women. So it's definitely happening. We cannot deny that. It is definitely happening within our own set communities. I shared with you the stories earlier, but nothing but black women who was unalived by black men. No matter how the way it happened, they were unalived by black men. Period. So by us sitting up here saying that this doesn't exist, that is insane when it does. Ladies and gentlemen, we have, to be honest with you, we have evil people in this world, and they exist in all ethnicities. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, African, it don't matter. We have evil people all over this planet. We have evil people who does evil things, especially towards women. For us to deny that, to disclaim that, that is utterly crazy. Especially dealing with black Americans or African Americans, wherever the hell you want to call yourself. It happens. And it exists. To be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason why the women have a certain type of disdain against us right now. Because we cannot get rid of our pride and ego just to admit this simple thing. We can't surrender our pride and ego and hold ourselves accountable and say that this is the reality. This actually happens. Let alone, we can't even hold our own brothers accountable for these heinous acts. As I share with y'all in my comment sections, instead of these dudes holding each other accountable, saying like, God damn, these niggas, got me cussing. These dudes oh wow, we need to hold them accountable. Instead of saying things like that, they're cheering it on. They're saying triggering things, sitting up here saying, oh man, she must have did something to deserve it. Wow. She had to do something to deserve that, Urban. She chose wrong, Urban. Which I can meet with you on that viewpoint. Hell, she probably did absolutely choose wrong. She probably chose the wrong type of dude at the wrong type of time, knowing how the way he is, and she was thinking that she could change this dude by her actions. I give you that one because I talk about that over at the lounge. I talk about vetting out and everything over here at the lounge. So I give you that one. But my brothers, that still does not excuse the fact where we as men surrender our sympathy and empathy for when these things happen. How are we going to learn from one another when we lose our basic humanity towards each other? How are we going to be effective leaders as men when we can't even surrender ourselves towards something as simple as this? Have a sympathy and empathy, not to go into a pity party, but we could actually learn and grow and hold each other accountable and move forward. So these things could be prevented. These things can't be prevented when we sit up here cheering this bullshit on. What about the woman who abort babies, Urban? What about the woman who abort the babies? Since they aborted babies, they got this karma coming to them for this man to unalive them.
That's bullshit.
There's another claim, right? This another claim say this. It says that this about making black men look bad, while white men are the main one who are doing this. Y'all heard of that? Once again, this about black men. This about making black men look bad, but the white men are the main one who's doing this. Now, I can meet with you on this as well too. I can meet with you that sometimes there's like I was on the Justin Cortez earlier in the stream, right? I can meet with you and say that, some of this stuff can become propaganda when it's used like that, especially in social media. So I can meet with you on that. I can meet with you that it could be considered as unfair targeting against a certain type of ethnicity or a race. I can meet with you on that. And I believe that could be a very valid claim. Absolutely. And I'm not going to take that away from you. But however, the female homicides is a partner-driven and relationship-based, as I showed, which is the CDCs. Its patterns are intraracial relationships. And it's also proximity-based as well, too. And it's not dominated by no outside group or race. So meaning that it's not one group that's doing it more than the other. As I clearly showed to you through the data, it's not. Because this data does not support this cross-group blame. It is nowhere. I haven't found it. It is no data that supports this whatsoever. But it does support relationship patterns. And the reason why this particular claim fails, man, is this, because it shifts the focus from the pattern, right, into immediate victim blaming or blaming, period. And then what's even worse about this is that it ignores who the victims are actually connected to. And then most of all, it blocks the practical solutions. Y'all think that's something? Check this out. Like I say, I got findings for y'all tonight. Now, this particular article that I share with you, right, that's to give overall premises of it. What it's talking about is this. It's talking about the risk differences tied into the environment, tied into economic stress, and structural conditions. That's what it's talking about. That's what it's talking about. But we can preview it. Now, once again, all the articles that I'm sharing with y'all tonight, y'all can most definitely, all the articles I'm sharing with y'all tonight, y'all can most definitely go back and review it because I held my replay for my chat going, okay? So once when this show is over, you could go right back and cut and paste and read these articles for yourself, all right? Shout out to everybody who's in the building right now. And I see you on Sabaski Yashi. Sure. I see you. What's up with it? Salute to you. And salute to everybody who's catching the show right now. And salute to everybody who's catching the replay of the show as well, too. All right. So this particular article that we're going to briefly talk about, this is talking about the femicide in the United States, and it's called for illegal codification and national surveillance. This article comes from Frontiers of Public Health. All right. And so the abstract is this. It says this on the femicide refers to the international gender-related killing of women and girls. Despite the high prevalence of female murder victimizations in the United States, the U.S. lags behind other nations in defining and documenting gender-related female homicides. While efforts are underway within the criminal justice and public health sectors to better track violent deaths, deficit surveillance systems, limited efforts to estimate annual incidences of femicide in U.S. here. We reposition femicide as a preventable death that should be treated as a social and public health problem and a distinct form of homicide in the legal code. This approach is essentially salient given documented increase of non-lethal intimate partner violence, IPV, like we've been talking about all night, in major cities and nationally. And during the C-19 pandemic, they demonstrated the collaborative impacts of public health crisis on violence against women. All right. So now I'm not going to go into details of this article, but I am going to read this last paragraph and we'll go from there. All right. Now, once again, you could go back and review this and all the articles that I have posted in here for yourself. All right. So, the feminist sociologist Diane Russell coined the term femicide in her testimony about misogynist murders before 1976 International Tribunal of Crimes Against Women. The acts of naming by Russell and other scholars and activists brought femicide to the forefront of international movements to stop VAV. Yet most countries, including the U.S., lack a legal definition of femicide, complicating the surveillance and by extension preventing and response. Countries throughout Latin America have led the way in criminalizing femicide through legal statutes that mandate accountability. The U.S. does not have a separate penal code for gender-related killings, making it difficult to track femicides. According to the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, an estimate of 49,970 female victims were murdered in 2021, 1/3 of whom were documented to have been killed by an intimate partner. This is likely an understatement, as manipulative reporting to the central system is not mandatory, and data from less than 63% of police agencies were included in the 2021 report. Other estimates utilizing multiple data sources suggest that half of the female victims of homicide in the U.S. are killed by intimate partners. Importantly, reports of women being murdered are not always characterized as homicides, and motivations for homicides in the victim relationship to the perpetrator often goes undocumented. Now, the reason why I share this particular article, and I want y'all to go back and read this for yourself, is because one of the key things that I want y'all to understand is this. Even though they had did a lot of reports. They had did a lot of different surveys of these findings, right? At the end of the day, there are many law enforcement agencies throughout the country who's either mischaracterizing reporting these incidents or these acts rights, or they're not reporting it at all, period. Why is that important? This goes back to earlier about Media Man's data. If this is true, right, that means right off the bat, Media Man data is obscured. That means that Media Man data is lacking. And it's not Media Man's fault. It's not. He only reporting what he sees. He only getting the data for what he sees. But however, it is the responsibility of the said law enforcement agency to report the data correctly. Because if they don't report the data correctly, this will happen. It'll be misconstrued. I want to also take the time out to deal with these other common claims that I done seen. There's a claim that they said that the reason why these women or women in general were unalive is because they must have did something to provoke it. Do y'all agree with that? Do y'all agree that the reason why these women were unalive, or any type of woman become unalive, is because they provoked the behavior? Because I don't agree with that at all, period. I don't. I want to unchallenge this narrative. Let's say, in this hypothetical sense, right, that she did provoke it. Okay. She provoked something to happen. She triggered something to happen. What I want to challenge is this. If you know that this particular woman is toxic, is controlling, is narcissistic, who participate in DV, why you didn't exercise your right as a man and exit out of that relationship for not only your safety, but her safety as well, too? Why you didn't do that? Now, keep in mind that you're supposed to be the man. You're supposed to be the provider. You're supposed to be the protector. But most of all, you're supposed to be the leader. You're supposed to lead by example as well, too, because that is your divine calling as a man. So if you know that these situations happen because she provoked a certain type of outcome, why you just didn't simply exit out of the relationship and left it alone? Not only for your safety, but for her safety. But most of all, just like when men say, right, you want peace, correct? If you say that you want peace, and that's what you strive for, right? Why you, as the man, didn't exit out the relationship so you could seek this peace that you say that you want? Why you didn't do that? The answer to the question is this: because most of these type of males or men, right, their outcomes are linked to control, coercion, and escalation. In other words, it seems more that they were the one who provoked the situation than the woman. And all this woman did was simply participated. What y'all think about that? Because once again, we got to be honest with ourselves, gentlemen. Now, you may be saying this, Urban, this is not me, bro. This is not me. I don't do things like that. You know what I mean? If I do, if I'm in a relationship and get like that, then I'm going to exit out. That's cool. Fine. If you're that type of guy that does that and you have discipline to do that, by all means, fine. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your fellow brethren who don't have the discipline, who want to stay in there. A matter of fact, I have seen so many of these men in my comment section. Like I post, matter of fact, I post a video. See, y'all got to understand, when I post my shorts, there's a strategic reason why I do it. It's not just for entertainment, but there's a strategic reason why I post the shorts that I do. I posted one short where it was this young lady. This young lady was saying how crazy she get in the relationships. She altered her video where she was literally looking like she was either possessed or demonic, right? And guess what majority of the men was saying in that video, in the comment section of that video? They would say, shoot, that's my kind of girl. It's my kind of woman. She would be wild and great in bed. That's what they say. So if that be the case, what does that say about your brothers? Now, you may be the one who's strong. You may be the one who have discipline. You may be the one who even have emotional intelligence to exit out of a toxic relationship. But however, what about your brothers? What about your fellow brothers? Why are they lacking and you're not? That's a question we should be asking ourselves. Why are they lacking and you're not? Why are you gatekeeping your discipline? If you have figured out something in your life that could be beneficial to not only you, but to others, including your fellow brothers, why are you gatekeeping it? Why you're not educating your fellow brothers so they won't be in this toxic said relationship? So they won't even have the mindset to even think like that. Why are you gatekeeping? Is it dealing with the whole concept with the crab in the barrel mentality? Is that what it is? Or is it dealing with pride and ego? Or is it dealing with a form of competitive nature? What is it? Because, like, for example, for me, one thing I do with my fellow brothers who's part of my media circle, hell, I do it over here all the time at the lounge. If there's information that I know that can help me, I don't gatekeep it at all, period. I assume it within myself while consuming it within myself, and then I share it with my fellow brothers to help them out. Now, I can say this. It is up to them to pick and choose if they're going to do it or not. If they do it, great. If they don't do it, then guess what? That is not on you, brother. That is on them, because they're choosing to do that, not you. But it's at least your responsibility to share the information to them, so they can't have no excuse whatsoever. So when the outcomes happen to them, right, then guess what? Guess whose fault is going to be? It's not going to be the woman's fault that they dealt with. It's going to be their fault because you told them and they decided not to listen. Shout out to everybody. Shaliz, I see you in the building. Eric Green see you in the building as well too. And shout out to everybody who are viewing this live right now and catching the replay. We are talking about right now the 99.998% that Media Man have put out. We are seeing if this is a lie or it is the truth. And we're also talking about the real data of who truly unalives black women. Now, those of y'all who are tuned in right now, we get into the whole meat and potatoes of this stream where I'm demonstrating to y'all right now that this particular report, this particular finding, part of it is true, but the other part of it is very disingenuous. And the truth of the matter is this. Across the board, men are unaliving women, period. And also, when it's dealing with the situation of being unalive, it is not a cross race that's doing it, meaning that a white man is it's just only a white man unaliving a black woman, or vice versa. It's not just that. Through the data that I share with you, it is normally within the same intra-race, meaning that it is race-to-race homicides that are happening, meaning that it's normally a black man who's unaliving a black woman. That's what the one data and finding is showing. Now, I also want to prove to y'all that within this data, I said at least about within 15% total of all ethnicities, right? I say it's about at least about 45% that's dealing with a black man unaliving a black woman. Understand? But let's continue. A matter of fact, let's talk about that. Since I kind of mentioned that a little bit, let's talk about the interracial dating claim, because there's another claim out there that's saying that, hey, whenever a woman divests her race and start dating a white man, right, then the numbers increase, meaning that it's the white man who's unaliving the black woman, and them numbers increase. I know y'all heard that before, right? A matter of fact, the young lady who ended up getting unalived back in Africa will support this alleged claim. Okay, and there are other situations where this alleged claim comes about as well too. So my question to y'all tonight is this: do you believe that that's true? That there's a overwhelming number where it's interrelational dating is unaliving black women? That is more than this happening than black men unaliving black women. What do you think? Let me share this data with y'all. Got another data I want to share with y'all real quick. All right. This data is with your Pew Research Center. All right. And y'all can search it. Y'all can search it during your off time. All right. Now, once again, like I stated, those of y'all who coming in, like I stated earlier, right? This after the end of the stream, you could go back to the chat because I have the chat on live replay. So you could go back to the chat and this data will be in the chat. Okay. So let's consider this. Let's go to the Pew Research Center real quick, all right, with this article. Chop Pew Research Center. All right, so this article that we considering for tonight is this. It's dealing with intermarriages in the U.S. All right. Now, right off the bat, you'll see this. It says that 1 in 6 newlyweds are married to someone of a different race or ethnicity. So in 2015, about 17% of all U.S. newlyweds had a spouse of a different race or ethnicity, marking more than five-fold increase since 1967, which 3% of newlyweds were intermarried. according to the New Research Center analysis in the U.S. Census Bureau data. In that year, the U.S. Supreme Court in the Loving versus Virginia case ruled that marriage across racial lines were legal throughout the country. Until this ruling, the interracial marriages were forbidden in many states. More broadly, 1 in 10 married people in 2015, not just those who recently married, had a spouse of a different race or ethnicity. This translated to 11 million people who were interracially married. The growth in intermarriages have coincided with shifting societal norms as Americans have become more accepting of marriages involving spouses of different races and ethnicities within their own family. Now, the most dramatic increase in intermarriages have occurred among Black newlyweds. Since 1980, the share who marry someone of a different race or ethnicities have more than tripled from 5% to 18%, while newlyweds too have experienced a rapid increase in intermarriages, which rates rising from 4% to 11%. But however, despite this increase, they remain the least likely of all major racial or ethnicity groups to marry someone of a different race or ethnicity. So right off the bat, this article debunks the whole theory about interracial relationships is at a high number, meaning that a white man had unalive a black woman. It debunks that because even then, the percentage of interracial relationships is even low. Now, do it happens? Yes, it happens. Clearly, it happens. Clearly, it happens. But is it happening at a disproportionately rate higher than a black woman being unalived by a black man? No. No, it's not. Once again, these situations happens when it's dealing with the same race, when you're in your same type of race. And then to top it off, you can't blame a majority behavior for a minority outcome. It does that simple. Here's another claim that I want to debunk. They say this. They said that black men, in particular black men, do not do this to black women. Meaning that black men would never unalive black women. Black men would never do that. But according to the data that I've been sharing with y'all tonight, we could come to this conclusion by saying, in reality, most don't do that. That's a given. Most don't do it. But however, we cannot dismiss the fact that there are ones that do this. And the ones that do this follow a repeatable pattern. They follow a repeated pattern. What pattern do they follow, Urban? What is this you're talking about a pattern that they follow? What is this? Glad you asked. Do y'all know through sociology, right? Sociologists have the ability to predict group outcome behaviors, right? And they do it by analyzing and studying different pattern recognitions because patterns do not change. Now, here are some predictors that I want to bring to y'all attention that y'all should be aware of. And this data that I'm going to share with y'all, well, this one I'm going to share with y'all. If you listen to it clearly, it could literally either save your life or the ones that you love life as well, too. Because once again, patterns do not change. Here's some pattern predictors. The first one is dealing with prior DV. let's say you're getting to know a man, right? Or you're getting to know a woman. Well, preferably we talking about women tonight. So women, let's say that you're going out, you're one dating this guy, right? And all of a sudden this guy shows a little bit, just a little bit of DB behavior. You may have seen him become narcissistic at one point, with either with you or at a restaurant or the public event. That's a pattern. Here's a good one. And I actually did. I need to revisit this because I actually did a quick video talking about this. Right. Here's another one: strangulation attempts. Why is that important? There's a current fantasy that's out there, especially with modern women, right? They have this current fantasy that whenever they are engaging in sexual acts, right, that they want the dude to choke them. Oh no, Urban, don't talk about that. That's our pleasure zone. We got that from 50 Shades of Grey. That is a pattern of DV. Any type of strangulation attempts where if it's through love making or wherever the case may be, that is a pattern of DV. That is a pattern of toxic behavior. That is a pattern of narcissistic behavior that you need to be aware of. And then furthermore, if you are a woman and you desire that to happen to you, then you need to be questioning yourself as well too. Because having that happen to you in that way is not pleasurable. You may think it is because you're getting in that little dopamine rush or whatever, right? But in reality, it's not. It's not. Now, if that's something you want to continue to do, your life. But I'm throwing it out there. But strangulation attempts, yes. Any type of access to any type of firearms or weapons. You meet a guy or person, this dude got a whole range of firearms, like he the Matrix or whatever, right? Like he Neo. It's a red flag. Any type of jealousy and control. This dude get jealous off of no apparent reason. Bill to say what's up to your work and he's about to get ready to fight Bill. He's manipulating and controlling you. You can't do things. He wants you to be in a certain type of house at a certain type of time. Give you a curfew and you're grown as a duck. Separation is another one. I have I had a one homie, right, where him and this significant other, they had this thing to where they had to just constantly stay in communication with each other, meaning that they just had to constantly call each other, constantly text each other, no matter what. We used to want to go out and have drinks, and guess what? We leaving the house. They're texting and all the stuff. We in the car. They're texting and talking to each other on the phone. We're literally at the bar. Guess what's happening? You guessed it. He's texting her at the bar. That separation thing. And here's the common one that many of y'all are familiar with. Any type of substance abuse. Any type of substance abuse contributes to this. And last but not least, and this is a huge one for y'all ladies, for y'all women, dealing with a man who is unemployed. The reason why this is most important is because when a man is unemployed, sometimes what happens to him is that he ends up losing purpose because he been taught as a man that he needs to be a protector and a provider. And so how the way he show his work as a man is by him working. But what also happens is that his father or grandfather or whoever it is, right, didn't teach him how to cope during unemployment, how he could utilize himself to keep himself busy so he won't be idle, so he won't lose purpose. These type of men, that's what happened to them, is that they haven't been taught to continue to have purpose within working. And so these dudes literally crash out. They become violent. And yes, it do leads into unaliving. Now, I want to I'm gonna share this also with y'all too. I hope I'm helping y'all tonight, man, while I'm breaking this data down. I want to segue into this. I want to segue into why black women face the higher risk than any other race. Okay. Before I get into that data, let me ask y'all this question. Why do y'all believe that black women is at a higher risk of being unalive than any other type of race or ethnicity? Why y'all believe that that's true? While y'all thinking about that, once again, shout out to everybody in the building. Appreciate y'all or tuning into the stream. Make sure you thumbs up the live stream so you can support this channel. If you enjoying this thought-provoking content, what I'm giving to you from a man, red pill perspective, by all means, thumbs up the stream so you can get more of this, because it's going to go into the YouTube algorithm and it's going to let YouTube know that you want more of this content. All right. So once again, why are black women at a higher risk of being unalive than any other race? Why is that happening? I'm going to want to share this other data with y'all for y'all consideration. Once again, y'all can go and review these findings on your own. All right. Let me share this with you. This data is coming from Everytown. All right. And this data is talking about gun violence against women. With all these goddamn cookies. Now, here's the quick summary of this, all right? Now, the summary is that intimate partner violence, which we deal with IPV, right? And gun violence in the United States or link impacted millions of women, families, and communities across the country. Abusers with firearms are 5 times more likely to unalive their female victims. And guns further exacerbate the power and control dynamics commonly used by abusers to inflict emotional abuse and exert coercion control over their victims. All right. Now, I want y'all to understand that black women are 3.5% more likely to be killed by an intimate partner than white women. And the reason why is this. It's tied to the structural condition and not just the identity. In other words, it deals with the conditions and exposure. Remember earlier when I was telling y'all about proximity, right? Proximity is simply talking about a certain type of community that you're a part of. On the average, through studies, right, the average black woman is living either in poverty or in median range income based households. And this regardless of their education, regardless of their status. And meaning this, it is less likely for either a woman who's in poverty or coming into middle class status, right? It's impossible for her to live on her own. If she decides to do this, she would be struggling, especially if she has children. And guess what happens in this situation? She becomes desperate. She becomes desperate, and she says that, hey, I need to find someone find a man or whatever so he could take care of me. So we could go into this 50-50 thing, right? And we be able to be successful and be able to live the type of lifestyle that she wants to live. And that's what she do. But the bad part about this is that instead of her going and vetting a person out, right, she settles for the person that's within her proximity or in her said community. Now, I want y'all to think about this logically, right? Just like I stated earlier, if she's either in poverty, right, or in middle income, right, and if she's vetting out within her proximity, right, more than likely, the man that she meet is going to be in the same condition as she is. Therefore, she ends up choosing or selecting what's in proximity to her. Now, when she's now choosing this particular man that's in proximity to her, she's not necessarily vetting this dude out at all, period. She's just looking at what this dude could provide to her, and that's it. She enter into the said relationship, not understanding that this dude have these certain type of behavior patterns that I mentioned earlier. Not even thinking about that. And into this relationship, and next thing you know, she's in a toxic relationship with a controlling, narcissistic man. She become even more desperate because now she done realize something. She done realize that she done fucked up big time. And so she needs to exit out of it. But guess what? She don't know how to do it. She don't have no type of exit strategy. She can't save enough money to exit out because once again, she's either middle class or on the poverty level. Barely making it. She's afraid. She's afraid of starting over. So in most of these cases, guess what women like her would do? You guessed it. They would settle. They will stay within that situation. They'll stay within that atmosphere. They'll stay with this dude and tolerate it. Tolerate their abuse. Then next thing you know, we're looking at the news and seeing the same type of woman being unalive. And that's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. That's the reality. But what's so sad about this story is that once again, my fellow counterparts, my fellow one brothers, they believe that this story is not a reality. They believe that it's fictitious, that it doesn't happen. And they say these things, right, because they look at their own personal anecdotal experience. Well, Urban, through my experience, I never dealt with that. Through my experience, it's this, that, and that. I would tell y'all this, through my experience, I never dealt with a situation that was that severe like that. But however, that's because I never dealt with it in my personal anecdotal experience. That doesn't mean I can sympathize and empathize and relate to it. And that's where the disconnect is happening. Is that once again, we are losing our sympathy and empathy. We're losing our humanity to at least relate to what people are going through, especially dealing with our women. We're losing that connection due to bad experiences that we didn't have, that we chose as men. Now, throughout this whole entire show, I've been demonstrating to y'all about the 99.9998% right. I've been demonstrating to y'all how part of this is true and the other part of it is disingenuous to try to fit a biased narrative. Now, once again, shout out to Media Man for supplying the data, because when he supplied the data, it corrects the conversation. So shout out to him for that. But however, his information was biased as hell and disingenuous as hell, as I proven earlier in the stream. I also want proving to y'all that when it's deal with the case of who's unaliving black women, I have proved to you that it's dealing with proximity. It's dealing with your said condition, meaning that it's dealing with your same race, meaning black men unalive black women. It's more common for black men to unalive black women than interracial relationships happening where they're unaliving each other. So by me providing all this information, all this data that I want y'all to consider and go back and analyze it for yourself, right? This is what we're going to do, like we always do over here at the lounge. What about these solutions behind this? What can we do to prevent this heinous act from happening to black women? What can we do? What can we do? We could do this. First of all, it starts off by us recognizing the red flags earlier, like I was showing to you. I was showing you the different behaviors that was happening. It started out by recognizing the red flags earlier. If you see any type of red flags, even a subtle one, that should alert you that something is not right. Any type of threats that happens to you, no matter how subtle it is, I don't care if y'all joking or whatever, right? Take them threats seriously. Take them as face value. Plan safety exits. Like I stated earlier about the woman who's in proximity, right, and she didn't have an exit plan. Automatically plan a safety exit in these type of situations. Because having a simple safety exit is the determination of life or death. Now, when it's dealing with the community, we as a community, we need to stop normalizing control and toxicity. That's where it boils down to. Because the things that I have seen, preferably my brothers, the men, right? We normalizing toxicity. Like I gave you an example earlier when I posted that short where it was a woman who was literally being toxic as hell. And instead of these men recognizing her as a threat, they wanted to smash her. Oh man, that's the type of woman I want to be with. Can't wait to smash her. We need to stop normalizing this control and toxicity. We need to hold our brothers accountable for their behavior. Period. Need to call it out. If you know that these men are doing these things to these women, we need to call it out. We don't need to high-five them. We don't need to say, well, what did she do to deserve this? Bullshit.
That's bullshit.
We don't need to do that. We need to call it out for what it is. Hold them accountable. A matter of fact, we need to hold the repeated offenders accountable as well too. Cause sometimes these dudes they'll get out right. They'll serve their time right and they'll get out and they haven't learned not a goddamn thing. And the reason why is because they will do what is known as good behavior just so they can get what they want, meaning that they'll do these good things while they're in, right? Just so they can be rewarded by getting out. But their mind have not changed at all, period. Regardless of them going to halfway houses or whatever, right? So we need to hold them accountable. How can we do that? We could do this by being what is known as your brother's keeper. If you know your fellow brother had did these type of acts and he got out and he's on parole, whatever the case may be, right? That is our responsibility as men who are leaders and protectors of our said communities, right? To go to our fellow brother and help rehabilitate our fellow brother. Hold him accountable. Make sure he shows up to his meetings, his AA meetings. Make sure he's showing up to his parole hearing or whatever, right? Make sure he show up to his PR or whatever you call that, right? Make sure he's doing things to literally change his behavior, not condoning it, and not getting frustrated. Hold them accountable. Be your brother's keeper. Now, for us, the system, right? The solution I'll say is this. Now, some of y'all may gonna disagree with me fully on this one. I believe that we need to reform the protection order. I do. We need to reform the protection order to where, first of all, I know that there are women out there who use these protection orders way too loosely, just like how they do with abortion, right? I know that they use it way too loosely, right? So we need to reform that. We need to reform these protective orders where it's a legitimate reason why either a man or a woman needs to file a protective order. And that legitimate reason could be due to DV. Now, it starts with this. If you file a police report and the findings of that police report says that you're a part of DV, right off the bat, you should be able to take that police report and file a protective order to safeguard and protect yourself. Not just doing it because you're just trying to kick the dude at your house, or you mad at Bobby. I'm mad at Bobby, so I'm gonna I'm gonna go to the courts and get a protective order on him. No. That need to be reformed. I also believe that we need to come up with a system where we could better track these high-risk offenders. And I'm not just talking about ankle bracelets and different things like that. We literally need to come up with a system where we could track these high-risk offenders. The same exact way how we track these pedos and stuff, right? Where they have to be registered in the system and different things like that. I believe we need to do something similar to these high-risk offenders. Especially these ones who's doing these heinous acts against women, preferably black women. On women in general. I believe it needs to be a registration system with them, period. And it needs to be enforced throughout all these states. That way, when it comes to the time of when I say vetting out each other, that should be one of the first things you should ask. Are you a high-risk offender? That should be one of the first questions you ask. Are you a high-risk offender? Let me see your high-risk offender card. Because if we don't take time out and stop the outcomes, right? guess what's going to happen? These patterns are going to continue over and over and over again. It's not going to stop. But if we do things that is preventable, then we could bring this number down. We could bring this number down tremendously. And here's the final thing too. If we are truly saying that we are a community, or we trying to be a community, right? We need to hold each other accountable. We don't need to rely on the system to do everything for our said community. We need to hold our own community accountable. Because me personally, it's time out sitting up here being part of cliques. And y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Being part of cliques. Oh, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're a conservative, you're a Trump supporter, you're a Kamala Harris supporter, Obama supporter, whatever, right? It's kind of time out for all this bullshit. And it's time for us to truly support our community like you say that you want to do. And hold our said communities accountable for each other. Because once again, if we don't do that, then these outcomes is going to continue. These patterns, these behaviors is going to continue. Now, last but not least, and I'm getting to the one comment, y'all. I want y'all to understand that every name has a story, right? Every name has a story, and most had warning signs. And I want y'all to understand this clearly, even though this live preferably was talking about black women, because I'm responding to this post in this article, right? But I want y'all to understand that this isn't about race wars. This isn't about narratives. It's about us coming together and recognizing the patterns, the behaviors, and to do our best to create preventions and most definitely hold each other accountable. That's what it's about. But the real question is this. Do you truly want the truth? Based on everything that I shared with y'all tonight, the data, the information, and everything, do you truly want the truth? Do you truly want to see a change? If this so? Or do you want to stay in your comfort? Do you want to stay in your, as we call, red pill rage, where you're just crashing out over women? Choice is y'all's. Y'all choose what you want to do. But whatever you choose to do, if the outcome end up yielding a negative result, guess who's going to be at fault on that? Guess who needs to be held accountable on that? You. And only you. Let me get to this comments and we'll be done for tonight. Once again, shout out to everybody who tuned into the stream tonight. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Sebastian Koshkin said this. Now, second the idea, I myself need an accountability partner. Agreed. Lionel here agree with this as well too. I do agree. You shouldn't be able to file a PFA just because you're mad. But who decides though whether if the person or just mad or actually in danger? Got you. in my community, high risk offenders are put on what is we call a strike list, and the person only gets 2 strikes. After that, we deal with them because our police are basically useless here, and that's good. That's good, man. That is great. I'm glad that y'all do that, and we do not discriminate between men and women. I'm glad that y'all do that. Shout out to you. Shout out to you for doing that in your community. Appreciate you. And other than that, this normal stuff that people said. Oh, justice for Ashley Janae, yeah, as well too. Now, I haven't did a stream on Ashley yet. The reason why is because I'm trying to wait on all the official reports to come out before I do a reactionary stream on her. All right, so I'm waiting on that right now. Now, there been a lot of content creators that I already reacted to it, and I already knew what they was going to do. I already knew that they was going to go with the diversity claim with her. You know what I mean? Which I done seen some things that she said, and I can understand why they said it. You know what I'm saying? Because she made some crazy claims on her ex account about black men and all the stuff there. But there's neither here nor there. But yeah, so whenever all that information comes out, then I'll do a reaction stream on Ashley for sure. Yeah, I'll do that for sure. Other than that, that's all I see. Once again, shout out to everybody who want to tune in to the stream tonight. I hope that you want the information and data that I share with y'all tonight. It'll help you to think about it, all right? Now, once again, I'm not saying that I'm the most correct person in the building or the most knowledgeable person in the building, but however, all I'm saying is, hey, just consider the possibility thereof, because you'll never know. You'll never know, you know what I mean? And so, do me a favor, go back and review the data that I shared with you in the chat and let me know what you think about it, all right? And if you go and do some additional research and findings, let me know. Let me know how you feel about it. My Instagram is always open, right? It's Urban Lounge Podcast. You'll see my picture. So you could go to my Instagram. You could send me a message through Instagram, or you could go. You could want to go and email me as well too. My email is located on my page on my YouTube channel. So either or you can do it. You get in contact with me and let me know how you feel about all these findings. So if you found some more findings that you want me to review, I'll most definitely do it by all means. But other than that, thank y'all so much for participating in this particular show today. Make sure you have your notifications set when I go live. I will be going live tomorrow with another thought-provoking topic for y'all. All right, Mike, what's up with it? Yeah, you missed it, bro, but you can catch the replay though. But appreciate y'all. Go back and catch the beginning of the stream if you missed the beginning of the stream. All right, so appreciate y'all, and I will see y'all again on the next episode.